Hey everyone, welcome back to the ATI TEAS study group. And let me try to move that this way so my screen isn't blinding you. I'm sorry. Anyway, so welcome back to the TEAS study group. Thank you so much for hanging in here with me. I drastically overestimated how many videos I was going to be recording because this is the last and the final leg of this entire study group. We're going to be going over ELA, which is very, very brief. And again, like I said before in my first lecture, ELA is actually where a lot of my fellow colleagues really, they didn't necessarily struggle. They just didn't do as well as they thought. And I think that's just because of the 28 questions. You know, they kind of come in thinking, oh, it's only this much and it's ELA. Like, I'm already fairly confident with this. Why do I need to kind of stress over this any further? But it's important. It's really important to kind of make sure that you're solid with it and to brush up. So without further ado, let me share my screen. Hopefully this will be for one last time. One last time. Again, these are our practice questions, and I see someone walk into the testing center. With all be Eva and your favor. I think I even did that with the wrong hand just now. Yeah, the wrong hand. It's the right hand. Anyway, whatever. ELA, English and Language Arts. Again, I apologize for my sick sense of humor. If you look, there's these guys that are all hovering around a cadaver and they've got his hand all open. This freaking clown in the back. It's like, wait a minute. This isn't English class. What am I doing here? I saw it and I was hysterical. I think I nearly peed when I saw it. I just thought it was funny. Anyway, moving on. ELA. Conventions of standard English. So we need to use the conventions of standard English spelling, conventions of standard English punctuation, and analyze various sentence structures. Only 9 questions, guys. So you're going to get 3 of these apiece, and they're very heavily weighted. So make sure that, again, your ELA is nice and strong. Use context clues to determine the meaning of words or phrases. So familiarize yourself with homograph versus homophones. Mnemonics are kind of like the please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. It's a pattern or other device to help remember something, and obviously plural is more than one. So spelling words for using common rules of English. We need to be able to identify common words that are exceptions to common rules for English spelling. Identifying plural forms of common words found in the English language. Referencing in-text examples for self-correction of spelling errors. And knowing the difference between homophones and homographs. So the first question is, the billionaire had a compound in the desert, the sheer size of which made it seem like a whole other country. Which of the following describes an error in the sentence? The homograph desert should be desert. The homophone sheer should be sheer. The homograph seam should be seam. The homophone whole should be whole. And again, just trying to reiterate this. Homophones sound the same, but mean different words. Homographs are spelled the same, but pronounced differently. So like a bat is not only a winged mammal and a baseball tool, it can also be like a verb, like getting up to bat. So homograph, it's a bat. Bow, B-O-W, it can be the bow of a ship. It can be a bow, like as you're taking a bow. It can be a bow in your hair. So it just kind of depends, like how you're using it. Homophones are like, I ate my food, or the number 8. Bare, like this is my bare hand. There's nothing on my skin, it's bare. But there's also like bare, like rawr, bare, or like you have to like bear the burden, like bear the weight. And again, here's the homophone whole and whole. They sound the same, but they're two completely different words. And then there's seam and seam. So let's move on to the answers. Option B is correct. The words desert and dessert are actually homophones. So the homophone shear, that means to like cut your hair. So I'm gonna like shear my hair off, but it should be sheer, like as in like an amount, the amount of which made it seem like a whole other country. And homograph, seam, and seam, that's not a homograph, that's a homophone. They sound the same, but they're two completely different words. If they were a homograph, it would be that bat and bat. I hope that makes sense. And I know it's kind of hard to differentiate the two. He found it inconceivable that his partner had leapt to the wrong conclusion regarding the capital they had allotted to the project. Which of the following words is misspelled in the sentence above? Inconceivable, leapt, capital, allotted. And again, I'm just going to jump right into the answer. Option D is correct. The spelling of this word should follow the double the final consonant rule, allotted. So A-L-L-O-T-T-E-D would be the correct spelling. Inconceivable, leapt, and capital are all spelled correctly. Use conventions of standard English punctuation. I'm not going to read through all these. Pause, read through them. If there's any questions or concerns, you can reach out to me, or you can use Khan Academy and Crash Course to help you with this. But you need to be able to know the sentence punctuation patterns. Using a comma to clarify meaning, using direct and indirect quotations following standard English rules, and using end marks to clarify your meaning. So which of the following examples is a correctly punctuated compound sentence? I've been running all over town, but now it's time for me to relax. I plan on taking it easy for the rest of the day and no one has any cause to bother me. Perhaps I'll see if the spa is open and if my favorite massage therapist is available. Getting a massage would be fantastically relaxing and I feel that I've earned it today. So we need to know which example correctly punctuates the compound sentence. Now, if we remember correctly, a compound sentence is two independent clauses connecting together. So A is incorrect. That's not right. So I'm just going to, again, jump to the answer. D is correct. This sentence includes two independent clauses, and it's correctly punctuated by including a comma before the conjunction. So getting a massage would be fantastically relaxing, and I feel that I've earned it today. A comma, not a semicolon, should be used before conjunction. So A, that's where we would correct that. B has two independent clauses, so a comma should be used before the conjunction. So you would put a comma right here. No one taking it easy for the rest of the day, comma, and no one has any cause to bother me. That would make that sentence correct. C is not a compound sentence because there's only one subject. So I'm going to see if the spa is open and if my favorite massage therapist is available. So they're going to see if the massage therapist is available. It's not two independent clauses, so you can get rid of that comma. Which of the following examples is a correct method for punctuating this quotation? Option B is the correct option. The key to wisdom, comma, she said, comma, is recognizing that the breadth of one's knowledge is never as great as the gulf of one's ignorance. This one's incorrect because you don't capitalize the second portion of a quote. This one is incorrect because you would put a comma here, not a period. And the key to wisdom is, so this would be correct if this S was not capitalized. I hope that makes sense. Like if you can look at these and understand and see where they went wrong. Analyze various sentence structures. Pause the slide, familiarize yourself with these key terms. If there's anything that you're confused about, reach out and we'll see what we can do to help. But you need to be able to identify patterns of simple compound, complex, and compound complex sentences, combine dependent clauses and independent clauses, And properly use the 8 parts of speech: the noun, the pronoun, verb, adjective, adverb, preposition, conjunction, interjection. Using sentence parts to create coherent sentence structures. Which of the following examples is a compound complex sentence? So a compound complex sentence has 2 independent and 1 dependent clause. So let's look at these. If you want to pause and read through them, that would be ideal. So, because I'm just going to tell you the answers. Just as the concert started, the crowd looked to the sky and the clouds parted. This is a compound complex sentence. It includes 2 independent and 1 dependent clause. So the dependent clause is just as the concert started, because you can't use that. That's not a complete sentence. But you can use a complete sentence of the crowd looked to the sky, and you could use a sentence as the clouds parted. We use and as the conjunction to connect these parts, and the comma to help connect them together as well. Because these other ones are, option A is only a compound sentence. Option B is a complex sentence. There's just 1 independent clause, so it's not compound. And option D is a simple sentence with a compound verb and 4 phrases. So the sun came out surrounded by a rainbow, and it brought gasps of awe from the concert goers. So it's again, using the multiple verbs and the 4 phrases. Question number 2, optimizing the time you spend enjoying life is the key to happiness. Which of the following is the simple subject in the sentence above? Optimizing time, you, and life. So we're looking for the simple subject in the sentence above. It's kind of odd, but option A is correct. The subject is what's referred to as a gerund, or a verb that takes the form of a noun. It's the who or what the subject of the predicate is. So optimizing is the key to happiness. So although it's optimizing the time you spend enjoying life, the simple subject is optimizing, because time in you and life without optimizing doesn't make sense. So like time you spend enjoying life is the key to happiness. That's not complete. The sentence includes optimizing. So it's odd because it's a gerund, but it's the simple subject in the sentence. All right, knowledge of language. 9 questions. Again, they're heavily weighted. Make sure you're strong here. Use the grammar to enhance clarity in writing. Distinguish between formal and informal language. LOL, thanks. Apply basic knowledge of the elements of the writing process and develop a well-organized paragraph. Use grammar to enhance clarity in writing. Excuse me. Again, pause, read through these. Make sure you're familiar with them. Recognizing complete sentences, you need to be able to use transition words, but, and, next, however, etc. Being aware of past, present, and future tense. Choosing a precise diction, whether you're annoyed, angry, or furious. And identifying and eliminating ambiguous language. Example, and stuff. LOL. THNX. YW. Okay, sorry. His daughter was an intrepid traveler, and no amount of coaxing is going to keep her from taking that cruise to Antarctica. Which of the following describes the grammar problem in the sentence above? Inappropriate transition word choice, tense disagreement, poor diction, ambiguous word choice. And again, right off the bat, I'm just gonna spell it. It is option B. B is correct. The first verb is in the past tense, while the other verb for the second independent clause is the present tense. So it would be correct to say his daughter is an intrepid traveler, and no amount of coaxing is going to keep her from taking that cruise to Antarctica, because was indicates past tense, that she is no longer an intrepid traveler. That's not correct because obviously she wants to take a cruise to Antarctica. So it's the tense disagreement. The transition word choice is appropriate, the diction's appropriate, and there's no ambiguous word choice. It's actually a very well laid out sentence except for this tense disagreement. Question number 2. He was thoroughly disappointed in his performance, blank. He pledged to redouble his efforts in his training regimen. Which of the following transition words/phrases is most appropriate to complete the sentence? Although, in other words, accordingly, or meanwhile. And again, I'm jumping into the answer. The answer is C, accordingly. Although indicates opposition between the two ideas. So it wouldn't work here. In other words, is just basically indicates an example pointing towards an effect. So that's not correct either. So if it was correct, he was thoroughly disappointed in his performance. In other words, he was not pleased with his progress. That would be correct, but that's not what we're doing here. So C, accordingly. He was thoroughly disappointed in his performance. Accordingly, he pledged to redouble his efforts in his training regimen. And then the last one, meanwhile, provides a time relationship between the two ideas, which is not the best answer to use with the transition word. Accordingly is the best one. C is the answer. Distinguish between formal and informal language. Colloquialism is an informal word or phrase. Informal is a relaxed, unofficial style. So we're going to see that in texts. We're going to see that in comments back and forth on Facebook. Formal is a style that follows conventional rules. We'll see that in English papers, medical journals. We'll see that in textbooks. We'll see that in business correspondence. Second person is a narrative mode that addresses the reader as you, and slang is just another term for informal language. So with these questions, you need to focus on choosing which language fits a scenario to a given passage, identifying language that is formal and informal, and be able to identify the narrator's setting/situation from given information. So I think we can certainly take advantage of some organizational synergy and increase our CAPEX rate if we approve this project. Which of the following is the likely medium for the sentence above? A business memo, scientific journal, a novel, motivational speech. Just to dive into it, option A is correct. This passage includes business jargon. So the CAPEX rate it would be commonly understood in a business setting. It would not likely be found in a scientific journal. This would not be found in a novel unless it's like a business environment written novel, and it doesn't contain any motivational techniques. So it wouldn't be in a motivational speech. Which of the following sentences would indicate the setting in the US in the 1920s? Rationing made our lives difficult, but we, like most citizens, were dedicated to the war effort. The local speakeasy was where he'd get his hooch when he had a few extra clams to spend. You could hear the clang of his riding spurs before the stranger pushed through the door of the saloon. She was a hip cat who had all the latest vinyl from the coolest bands around. Again, diving into the answer, it's B. Option A talks about the war effort. Well, we weren't at war in the 20s. The clang of the riding spurs walking in through the saloon indicates that that's fairly old. Hopefully that's before the 20s, unless you're in Prescott, because then people still clang into saloons with spurs. She was a hip cat who had all the latest vinyl from the coolest bands around. Hip cat is very indicative of like 60s, 70s terms. The answer is B, because it talks about a speakeasy when prohibition was going on, so there's going to be illegal alcohol consumption. and that's what hooch was. It was just illegal alcohol and a few extra clams to spend, and they called clams money, dollars. So B is the answer. Moving on. Okay, apply basic knowledge of the elements of the writing process. So brainstorming, citation, draft, mind mapping, stream of consciousness writing. Know these things and familiarize yourself with them. Know the elements of the writing process, identifying steps necessary to complete a writing task, and identifying when citation is needed. So apply basic knowledge of the elements of the writing process. Which of the following situations requires the inclusion of a citation? The author makes up the information, wants to emphasize the information, is giving an opinion, or the author is quoting a source. D, the author is quoting a source. When there's a quotation happening, you need to give the citation of where the quote came from. The author's making up the information, that's fiction, wants to emphasize the information, that's his own words. Giving an opinion, again, it's his own words. Citation doesn't need to happen. If all the following tasks are used in writing, which of the following would likely occur first? Interviewing potential sources, brainstorming interesting topics and organization, developing organized outline, ensuring proper citations. So I'm just going to put this in chronological order because we're wanting to know what would happen first. Option B is correct. It would be the first step that happens because you're going to brainstorm interesting topics. Then you're going to develop an organized outline, interview potential sources, and ensure proper citation. That would be how I put that in chronological order for writing, or I guess sequential order. Okay, develop a well-organized paragraph. Know the difference between an emphasis paragraph, supporting detail, topic, sentence, and transitions. Know the parts of a paragraph, being able to put information in logical order, identifying information that does not belong, identifying where information/development is needed, so where things are lacking. So which of the following examples would most likely act as a transition sentence? I find that older modes of technology often appeal to me in ways I can't quite articulate. The tap, tap, tap of a typewriter, for instance, inspires my creative writing impulses. The rich, warm sound of a vinyl record makes me want to throw out all my CDs. I suppose it could be nostalgia, but I suspect that it might be something else. So again, we're looking for a transition sentence. And the correct answer is D, because he's leading into the next passage. I suppose it could be nostalgia, but I suspect it might be something else. All of these are just supporting sentences. The older modes of technology appeal to him, the explaining about the typewriter, the rich warm sound of a vinyl record makes me want to throw out all my CDs, which that's actually accurate. It's fantastic. But those are all supporting details, not transitional sentence details. Moving on. Oh, we're almost done, guys. We're almost done. Vocabulary acquisition. 6 questions. Use context clues to determine the meaning of words or phrases. Determine the meaning of words by analyzing word parts. Use context clues to determine the meaning of words or phrases. Context, synonyms, and tone. Know these things, familiarize yourself because you need to know the synonyms, being aware of the tone, associating words in a series, recognizing cause and effect, and being aware of general ideas of a passage. After a couple of failures, he turned his efforts in a new direction. Which of the following is the meaning of the word turn in the example? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. To reverse the position of, to get beyond, to deflect, or to apply. So, looking at this, sorry, let me flip my page. Option D is correct. This is the best definition for this context, which is evidence. It's just evident, oh my gosh, it's been a day, by replacing the word turned with applied. So after a couple of failures, he applied his efforts in a new direction. That's going to be the most correct answer because he's not deflecting and he's not getting beyond and he's not reversing the position of, he's applying. And which of the following sentences does runs mean manages. Again, these are sentences where you can plug, you can interchange runs versus manages, and to see which one's the right answer. Car runs on diesel. Road runs the length of the island. She runs the department efficiently. His son runs the streets like a grown-up. And the correct answer is C. She manages the department efficiently. She runs the department efficiently. A car cannot manage on diesel. The road running the length of the island indicates length. It indicates a distance. And his son running the streets like a grown-up indicates that he goes about freely. He doesn't have rhyme or reason. He runs the streets like a grown-up. So, determine the meaning of words by analyzing word parts. This is kind of what I was talking about talking about chemistry, is being able to differentiate between the prefix and the suffix of a word. So familiarize yourself with these key terms, because you need to know the common affixes, which is like a prefix: anti, dis, inter, intra, mid, pre, non, sub, super, un. And suffixes is full, ic, ation, ology, and ness. And being able to combine affixes with root words. Which of the following words of the suffix create a word different from the root version? Handful, defended, hiding, runs. Well, A is the correct answer, because hand is your hand, but a handful means, it doesn't mean anything to do with your hand. I mean, I guess it could be something that you have to have a handful, but it completely changes the word. The suffix ed changes the tense in defended, but it does not create a new word. Hiding changes the tense again, and runs, the suffix of s changes the number but doesn't create a new word. So, I mean, you have multiple runs or jogs or whatever. It doesn't create a new word. It just changes the tense. Okay, so number 2, based on an examination of the word parts, which of the following means slow heart rate? Bradycardia, bradypnea, tachycardia, tachypnea. Option A is correct. Brady means slow, and cardia refers to the heart. So we see slow heart. Pnea, P-N-E-A, means having to do with breathing. So bradypnea is slow breathing. So tachypnea means fast breathing. Now tachycardia means fast heart rate. So breaking these words down, the answer will pop right out, as long as you know the prefix and the root, or the suffix and the root. So holy cow, that's it. That is it. It's done. All the lectures have been recorded. Literally 99.9999999% of the content today. The PowerPoint is all mine. I put it together for Yavapai College students, and I'm planning to post this on YouTube, because I just think that this is something that should be shared, but we'll see. I don't know. But 99.999999999% of the content came from the ATI TEAS study manual. Okay, this is, again, focusing on the 6th edition. I just want you guys to practice like you play. I want you to be successful with the TEAS, and I want you to have this content, and I want you to understand why it's important, specifically as you're getting ready to go into the nursing program. Again, thank you guys so much for following me with this. It was awesome. I don't have any regrets. I look back, I'm grateful for this opportunity. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, complaints, anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And good luck on the TEAS. You can do this. You're going to be awesome. You're going to do great. Just breathe. Take the time to make sure that you're focusing on you and the goal of why you're doing this. You've got this. You guys are awesome. Again, thank you so much for joining me with this. I appreciate it. Have a great night and have a great rest of your semester. And if you bump into me on YC's campus, just say hi. Kind of hard to miss. Thanks again. Bye, guys. Have a good night.